Hello everyone and welcome back. We are on the MR2 once again. Got to sand this high build primer down to a nice smooth finish, ready for its colour coat. Yes, hello everyone and thank you for joining me once again on the MR2 project. As you can already see, I've actually already made a start at flattening this bonnet down. So I've got a couple of things which are really going to help me out today. First of all is obviously my mask. This stuff is going to go absolutely everywhere, so this is vile. But one of the key things I bought is some dry guide coat. So basically you rub this all over the bodywork and it will show you all the imperfections left. Pinholes, orange peel, it's an absolutely great piece of kit. And then obviously my block sander, and I've got my disc sander as well. So as I said, I've already made a start on the bonnet. I've already applied the guide coat on this entire bonnet and I've already started to sand it down. As you can see, the bits where the guide coat has gone, that is where I have already sanded and it's really nice and smooth. So all this area here, really nice and smooth. I've only got an issue where I've actually already had some rub through, which is a little bit disappointing because that means that the pie build wasn't as thick as I was hoping, or I didn't put on as many coats as I needed. This isn't too much of an issue because it's already prepped and it's going to get sanded and it's going to get prepped the same way as the high build primer. So these little few areas I don't mind. I'm going to run into a real issue though if I start seeing bare metal all over the car. I'm hoping that because it's the bonnet, it's a little bit thin on the paint. It's really tricky to paint the bonnets and flat surfaces because you can't quite get the same coat thickness over the entire thing. I've watched a lot of people do some painting videos and that seems to be the trickiest thing about painting a car is flat panels like the bonnet. And the boot, obviously the boot's not quite flat, but you know, that's going to be another area of my concern. That's fine. Obviously today it's going to be just a long-winded process of just putting on this guide coat, flattening it down, doing it 2 or 3 times because I'm going to have to jump up the grits of sandpaper as well. So what I'm doing right now is this is some 240. I didn't want to go too mad, but I might even, with this rub through here, I might even switch it up and start with a 400 grit. What I need to do is I need to finish on a 600 because that is what the tech sheet specifies for the colour coat. It needs to be a 600 grit preparation surface. So like I said, I'm going to have to go up through the grits and then once that's done, hopefully it'll be done and completed this week so that next week I can actually start putting the colour down. I can't wait to get the colour down on this car, but at the same time, I can't afford to rush it because when you rush it, that's when things go wrong. So all I've got to do today is just get cracking, get this done. Okay, so I'm not going to bore you all with this whole process of sanding this down, but what I've done so far is you saw me put the die coat on, get this down with 320. Since then, what I've done is completely wet sanded this with 600. It is now super silky smooth. So that is the bonnet, the bumper, the 2 front wings completely done. So what I've done so far now though is I have gone down with 180 grit on the doors. These were particularly bad. It was honestly like trying to sand down a golf ball. It's really, really bad. So the roof I have done in 320, the boot I've done in 320, the two, basically it is the 2 doors and the 2 rear quarters I've had to go down with 180 so far. So what I'm going to do now is go over it again with some 320 and then after that I'm then going to wet sand it at 600. I probably should do a 400 in between the 320 and 600, however how thin this high build has actually come out. I don't really want to try and do that, and you know, the front ends come out really, really nice, really smooth, and obviously with the die coat you can actually see those 320 scratches get removed. So I'm pretty confident that the 600 has taken. So what I'm going to do is just carry on and do the exact same process there on the rest of the car, especially the doors and the rear quarter panels. Then we can actually start thinking about cleaning this up and getting it ready for paint. Okay, so I've just taken the top layer of the die coat off just to show you what I was talking about. So I have sanded it down lightly, and you can still see all these scratch lines with the die coat still inside, which means that obviously they're still visible, they're still low. So what I'm going to do is carry on with the disc, and then what we should happen, I'll just do it now quickly. What should happen is obviously we're now taking off that layer, getting rid of those 180 grit sands marks and creating the 320 instead. So like I say, what we'll do after I've done this one is then do the whole thing with 600 wet, and then that should get rid of the 320 grit sanding marks, creating a nice 600 base for the clear coat, which on the tech sheet for the paint that I'm using says that it needs to be at 600. So as you can see, they have all now vanished, which means that we've got rid of all those 180 grit marks. So basically I just need to carry on and do that same thing around the whole of the car. Okay, so there we go. The MR2 is now completely sanded down, is nice and smooth, all down to 600, which means that it's now ready for its colour. I'm so excited to finally get the colour down, but at the same time, I'm so nervous. I've never actually painted a full car, like a full respray from start to finish myself. I've done a few bits and pieces. The last time I actually tried to paint anything was the Transit. I didn't really care about what that looked like though, because at the end of the day, that was just a £1,000 Transit van. But this, I really want to try and get to as close as perfect as I possibly can. Now I know that obviously doing it in here, it's never going to be a showroom concourse finish, but I would like to try and get as good a finish as I possibly can. So what I'm going to be doing next is covering all the walls and the ceiling, making sure that I go over this with a fine tooth comb, make sure I give everything a clean. All this dust and everything here is going to have to go to make sure that I'm going to have a perfect finish. So join me next time when hopefully we get the colour down.